All right, hello, my name's Gabriel Krug. I'll be giving my speech today. This is my audience, 5 adults. Ladies and gentlemen, Marines and sailors, distinguished guests, thank you for joining me today. This is my utmost pleasure to welcome you tonight to this commemorative event of our national anthem. On September 14th, 1814, 205 years ago today, Francis Scott Key wrote the lyrics to The Star-Spangled Banner. It was then a poem called The Defense of Fort McHenry, which would later be put to music and become our national anthem. As we gather together this evening at the Marine Corps Air Station Futenma Officers Club to celebrate this milestone in history, I'd like to recall the origins of this national anthem and its significance in present day. Francis Scott Key was an American lawyer who liked to dabble in poetry. During the War of 1812, Key boarded a British ship to discuss the release of American prisoners with 3 British officers. However, while this was going on, the British were preparing an attack on Baltimore, near where the ship was anchored. They determined that Key had become too familiar with their location, position, and plan to confidently release him to shore, so they actually kept him on board while they began the bombardment of Fort McHenry. He was forced to stay on board and watch this attack on Americans. Attempting to suppress Fort McHenry and advance to Baltimore Harbor, the British warships bombarded McHenry with everything they had: guns, rockets, cannons, mortars. From ashore, the Americans returned fire with everything they had, mostly just cannons. The attack lasted 25 hours. They were determined not to let the British advance to Baltimore. The attack only ended after the British had spent all their munitions and had nothing left. It was on the morning of September 14th, in the haze of early morning, Francis Scott Key went on deck, looked out to shore, and saw in the haze the American flag still standing. This moved him so much and inspired him to write the lyrics to this later song that day. Again, it was a poem that was called The Defense of Fort McHenry. This poem was later set to music and would become known as the Star-Spangled Banner, which is what we have today, of course, as our national anthem. However, this wasn't an overnight thing. It took over a century before the Star-Spangled Banner became our national anthem. In that day, it was simply just a popular patriotic song that was played at special functions, parades, events. It gained some favor with military bands and became incorporated into military functions and traditions. And it wasn't until about 1930 that the Veterans of Foreign War started a petition asking the United States to formally recognize the Star-Spangled Banner as their national anthem. At the time, there was no national anthem of the United States. There was simply a collection of a few patriotic songs that were played for ceremonies and parades and such. In 1931, after 5 million signatures had been gathered on this petition, President Herbert Hoover authorized the use of the Star-Spangled Banner as our national anthem, signing a congressional resolution. Today, the historic song remains, and it's played at any significant event, ranging from a ball game to a formal ceremony. Mind you, things have changed, and we're not fighting the British anymore. Our cannons are not firing on our shores, but the meaning of the lyrics remains the same. That our flag and the country it represents is resilient. It stands through the tumult of battle, through the rocket's red glare, through bombardment and fear and panic, through the worst of times and through the most difficult of battles. Our flag continues to wave till the early dawn. As we reflect on the history and the meaning of the Star-Spangled Banner on this momentous day, let us never forget who we are and that we will always be the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you.